Hi, welcome to a video made by a blind person. Yeah, too blind to care what the visuals look like.
But people who will lose their trees say they plan to go on the defensive against TriMet to protect their trees.
In this case, detectives say that the suspect was the only person to have access to the church's financial accounts. Police say the former employee had access to a purchasing card through his job.
There has already been one lawsuit filed against the company. Why are you guys filing this one? This is going to be a big cleanup effort for Portland police. Take a listen to see what Portland firefighters found when they got here.
He was a field reporter for my local news station for at least, 6-7 years? His body of work goes way beyond the handful of reports I have to show you here. His name is Brent Weisberg, and by the time you watch this, he will no longer be working for this news station or any other. He will be the one that corresponds to the TV stations and radio stations, the media outlets, on behalf of his new employer. As his official journalism career, or this chapter of it, comes to a close, here's just the tiniest thumbnail sketch of what he gave those of us viewers of my local station who were blessed enough to have him as a reporter. In the beginning, Brent was a reporter that, probably like a lot of them, I don't know anything about how journalism works, but I suspect that when a person first starts at a news outlet, it's kind of a game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Random assignments. Emily, that city council meeting just completely got out of hand. Go break the story on that. Dave, 13 in Williams is totally blocked off. Go find out why. Andrea, go see if you can follow up on that story we broke last night about the guy that got hurt. Brent, this light rail train is going in and there's a bunch of pissed off neighbors planning a protest. Go find out what the deal is there. That's where he was in 2012, I want to say, when we saw this.
Happening today, a protest planned by a group committed to stopping the Portland to Milwaukee light rail project. Now, the group says they're trying to protect the environment, and they refuse to give up the fight. Point Local 6 reporter Brent Weisberg joining us live this morning. And Brent, several folks living near the light rail project say they don't want to see the trees that will be cut down.
Good morning. Many of those individuals are going to hold a small gathering today trying to get TriMet to change their plans, but that doesn't seem likely based on the construction plan that is already happening. Construction on the Portland to Milwaukee line is at the center of this controversy. For their part, TriMet says the plan to cut down these trees has been announced for quite some time. They also say they are aware of the concerns that many Milwaukee neighbors have, but people who will lose their trees say they plan to go on the defensive against TriMet to protect their trees.
It was such a wonderful neighborhood, and they slaughtered it. It makes me mad. It makes me mad.
Despite the fact that Clackamas County voters passed an initiative requiring county officials to get voter approval before spending money on a public rail system, these trees are scheduled to come down later today. TriMet plans to tear down 300 trees, but they say as part of their regrowth effort, they are going to plant an additional 800 trees. Reporting for you live, I'm Brent Weisberg, Coin Local 6.
But when you do something for long enough, you kind of find your calling, the place where you fit. The place where you're either comfortable or the place where you've got the most talent. And for Brent, it wasn't necessarily protests. It wasn't a lot of things. It was court proceedings, crime-related stuff. And he had found that calling by the time this happened. 4 years later, it was June of 2016, when Brent really became more than just another reporter to me. On that fateful day in late June, I just happened to be watching the right news station at the right time. I turned it on just in time to see one of those Coin 6 News at noon is starting in about 30 seconds, and here are some of the things that we're going to be covering this noon. Teaser previews. And one of those headlines just grabbed my attention. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, and this was over a year ago, so I don't remember exactly the way the headline sounded, but it was something to the effect of, a woman back in jail accused of stealing thousands of dollars from a church. But find out how this ain't the first time. Something like that. And I thought, Lord have mercy, who steals from a church? How can someone stoop so low? And this was on the news, so it's a matter of public record. I shouldn't care about protecting the identity of this suspect. But I guess because it hit so close to home for me, I actually had a relationship with this church at one point, and I will even say I feel something for this suspect that is not just pure disgust. I mean, on the one hand, it's horrible what she did, but on the other, well, I'm going to link the article in the description below, but I guess there wasn't the airtime to include everything in the on-air report that we saw in the article. So after reading the article, I felt, believe it or not, some sense of empathy for this suspect. I'll talk more about that later. I should just save it for another video, but the point is I am going to go ahead and withhold her identity anyway. So here I am, listening to this preview going, my God, I've got to hear this. What happened? And so I stuck around, and the newscast started, and the top stories came and went, and then the report aired.
It has happened again. A woman is back in jail, accused of stealing thousands of dollars from a local church.
Was in court this morning on allegations that she stole more than $70,000. Brent Weisberg is tracking down new information in this Coin 6 News exclusive.
Is no stranger to Oregon courtrooms.
I have no comment.
This time, authorities say the 62-year-old woman stole about $73,000 from the Metropolitan Community Church in Northeast Portland. In this case, detectives say that the suspect was the only person to have access to the church's financial accounts, was logging on and issuing herself extra paychecks and inflating her regular pay.
When it comes to an embezzlement case or any fraud case, people are only limited by their imagination.
The senior pastor of the church says they discovered the suspected embezzlement back in October 2015. Detective Carruthers says that these cases can have far-reaching impact, not only financially, but also emotionally.
And so it really can be personally devastating for people to think that this person that they trusted for so long and who they thought they could believe in really betrayed them on a personal level.
In this case, making matters even harder for the church was the realization that this wasn't first time in trouble. According to federal court documents, in 1984, she was fired from Yamhill County after pleading guilty to theft charges for embezzling. Then, between 1991 and 1996, federal court documents revealed that she embezzled $225,000 from the city of Moala.
It is unfortunate that when she was hired 12 years ago by a previous pastor, unfortunately, there was not a check done at that time.
Detective Carruthers says it's important that businesses and nonprofit, both big and small, have a series of safeguards in place.
You really need the people who are overseeing the organization to pay attention to the actual bank account records.
Reporting in downtown, I'm Brent Weisberg, Coin 6 News.
I could do a whole separate video about that story and how I felt about it. I was just blown away. What a shock. It hit home for me. You know, I'd gone to that church. I knew that name. You know, I would call and she'd answer the phone. You know, I knew who she was, and I was like, my gosh, I can't believe it. I kind of see both sides of this. On the one hand, there's a horrible crime that's been committed. On the other hand, at the heart of it is a woman who I'm sure has issues that are probably not unlike the ones that I had that caused me to make some bad financial choices. And if I ever open up about that, that's another story for another time. But neither one of us were above making bad financial choices. I just screwed over myself and no one else by having the problems that I had. But I digress. The point is, Brent broke that story. And that was the day and the report that put Brent Weisberg on the map for me. And that was the first of 2 embezzlement cases that he covered in like a week. That was June 30th. On July 8th, he reported on a case that I had no emotional ties to, but you can believe someone did. I'm sure that there were quite a few college students and staff that reacted in the same way on July 8th to this report from Brent that I did on June 30th.
Theft topping $100,000 has rocked Portland Community College.
Investigators say it was an inside job. The school calls the suspect a rogue employee. Brent Weisberg has more in this Coin 6 News exclusive.
He was making purchases for himself, private purchases with public funds.
Today, Portland Community College opens up about allegations of embezzlement of nearly $112,000.
I'd say it's particularly disappointing.
Most of that money coming from the state.
The trust that the public places in us is something that is sacred.
The accused, this man, Brent Fuller. Fuller is facing numerous counts of aggravated theft in Multnomah County. Police say the former employee had access to a purchasing card through his job at the PCC Sylvania campus. He was working within the automotive training department.
And it was a very sophisticated fraud.
Authorities say that Fuller was buying up gift cards to the tune of nearly $20,000. He bought electronics, gun accessories, motorcycle and boat parts, watches, and clothing.
I think the volume, the magnitude, and the scale are upsetting.
PCC says that once they noticed the discrepancy in funds, they immediately notified the Portland Police Bureau's White-Collar Crimes Unit.
He was quite clever about knowing the exact amounts that he needed to stay under.
Lisa Avery, the campus president, says the college has since implemented even more financial regulation to protect its money. She says the indictment against Fuller is not at all representative of PCC as a whole.
Everybody's here because they want to help students improve their lives.
Reporting in Southwest Portland, I'm Brent Weisberg, Coin 6 News.
But even after he found his niche on the crime beat, it wasn't just indictments against thieves that Brent covered. He covered civil matters, I guess. Is that what you'd call this?
4 families in Southeast Portland have filed a class action lawsuit against Precision Cast Parts. Brent Weisberg is getting answers about that lawsuit and what it means for everyone involved.
There has already been one lawsuit filed against the company. Why are you guys filing this one?
It's true there's another case that's been filed, and in a case like this or a situation like this, typically we think, the more plaintiffs there are, the better.
Outside Precision Cast Part, I speak with the attorney representing 4 people in a new class action lawsuit filed in Multnomah County. What do you want the public to know about what Precision Cast Parts is doing?
We want to make sure that our clients in that community of which Precision Cast Parts is a member, to make sure that they're being protected.
The 23-page lawsuit identifies Precision Cast Part as being one of the nation's worst polluters. A spokesperson here at Precision Cast Part says that the company does not comment on pending litigation, and at this point they haven't filed any response to this lawsuit.
My concern has always been Precision Cast Parts here.
Gene Hall lives less than 2 minutes away from Precision Cast Part. He's not involved with this class action lawsuit, but still has concerns. The latest lawsuit seeks a court order to have cleanup work implemented and to prevent toxic emissions from being released. The attorney representing the people in this latest lawsuit says the motivation behind this class action lawsuit is for everyone's peace of mind.
Understand understandably, when you find out that there's a facility, in your backyard that's emitting dangerous pollutants, you're going to think twice about using your yard, eating the vegetables that you've grown, or letting your children play out in the backyard, or even go to the park.
Reporting in Southeast Portland, I'm Brent Weisberg, Coin 6 News.
And even up toward the end of his career at Coin 6 News, sometimes Brent was even the one that would arrive on the scene of breaking news within hours after it happened.
Right now, a big mess at Trailblazers Evan Turner's home, where a truck crashed through a fence and into his swimming pool.
The driver has been taken to the hospital. That truck is still stuck. Brent Weisberg is live on the scene with details. Brent?
Hey, Ken and Jenny, good morning to you from the Goose Hollow neighborhood. This is going to be a big cleanup effort for Portland police. This morning, they still have Southwest Upper Hall Boulevard closed. Take a listen to see what Portland firefighters found when they got here.
So it's a dump truck that went over a fence, down about 20 feet into a pool. The driver is stuck in the truck upside down in the pool.
All companies from command, we have a semi-bank approximately 20 feet. He is trapped, just one piece. A semi-truck over the bank. It is into a swimming pool. We have access down below. One person trapped.
We got the patient is trapped currently in the pool underneath the rig. We're going to have to lift the truck to get him off of it. We have a fuel spill and oil spill into the pool area. We're going to need lines stretched down here. I recommend that we upgrade this like a commercial response, get more resources.
This crash happened around 8 o'clock this morning. Coin 6 News can now confirm that the home belongs to Evan Turner. He is an NBA player who plays for the Trailblazers. Portland firefighters say that the commercial vehicle went down an embankment about 20 feet and crashed into Turner's pool. The driver, as you just heard, was trapped inside the cab inside the pool. Portland Fire and Rescue spokesperson Captain Louisa Jones explains the difficulty involved in this rescue.
Responders had to evaluate the situation, make sure that the truck was stable, and then work around all of that mud to get the driver, who was partially submerged in the cab in the pool, out of the vehicle. So obviously it's December, very cold. The water in that pool is very cold, so time was of the essence in getting him out.
The driver was taken to OHSU this afternoon. We are still waiting to learn his name and his condition. There is a big rig tow truck up there. They are now trying to figure out just exactly how they're going to get this commercial vehicle up that embankment and then out of this area. Again, it went down an embankment about 20 feet deep into that pool, upside down. As soon as we have more information, we'll let you know. Ken and Jenny, back to you.
Brent, makes you wonder what happened, how that truck got down there in the first place. All right, appreciate that report.
For every one of the 5 reports that I just featured, Brent probably did hundreds to thousands of others that I didn't watch, didn't recognize. I mean, I just said it took 4 years for me to recognize him as more than just one of the many reporters that this news station had. From protests to court proceedings to civil matters and even breaking news, Brent was, in my opinion, a great reporter, and by the time he was my favorite reporter, he had been working there for, like I said, probably about 4 years at least. And then I kind of perked up when I heard his name and wondered, ooh, what's Brent bringing us this time? For about a year and a half after that. And then on March 16th of 2018, Brent announced that he is leaving Coin 6 to become the person that is kind of behind the scenes for a public entity. Again, he tweeted the details of his job, but out of respect for him and a desire to protect the identity of his new employer, I'm not going to disclose that on this video. What I will say is that Brent will no longer be the voice of the news report. He will probably be the person who releases written statements and possibly even makes the statements at the press conferences on behalf of his new employer. I mean, I don't even know for a fact that that's true. Like I said, I don't know how any of this stuff works. What I do know is he'll still be working in the area that he clearly has a niche in, and yet he'll be doing information that you have given in the 6 at least years that you worked for our local news station. And thank you for the information that you will give in the capacity of your new employment. You did a great job, and I know you'll do a great job in what you're going to be doing in the immediate future. I'll miss you, but I hope your new job is everything that you want it to be, and then some. You'll be a great asset to your new employer, and I wish you nothing but the best. Goodbye, Brent, and thank you.